Hello, it's Greg Allison with Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm coming to you today on the 14th of February 2020. Yes, February. I got the month wrong in my previous video on the worm sleds. So, yeah, I can get this combobulated. Today, this video is about helping our wayward, lost young adults, bringing them back home. I've done a couple of videos on the disintegration of our nation, in which I talked about how our country's falling apart because it just seems that the young people won't work. I've talked about tough love. You might say this is part of the tough love series because I kind of beat on the parents, my generation, for not giving the tough love the young people needed to inspire them and get them back on track. So what I'm going to talk about today is encouraging these young people to come back home. What I'm going to talk about today is to try to give hope and to put fire in their hearts, to give them some desire. So please share this video on your social media. In particular, if you know some young, wayward, lost young adults who just can't seem to find their way in today's society, please share this video with them. By the way, it is, like I said, the 14th of February. You might have seen me out here on the 9th of February wearing just a very thin river shirt with no t-shirt. Today I'm all dressed up. Today it's about 1:30 and it's managed to make it up to 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside this greenhouse it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but out here it's just above freezing. It got down in the middle 20s last night. And just to show you, and look at all these wild edible greens. I'll do something on that. Yeah, there's still ice right here. So even though it's above, that's got some sunlight shining on it, it's warming it up real fast, but there's still ice in there. So my friends, oh yeah, by the way, check out my nicely growing garlic here. It's growing great. Yes, it grows in the wintertime. Actually grows in the wintertime here. Some people say, oh, nothing grows in winter. Well, here it does. It does in Alabama. I'm 8 miles south of Tennessee. Now, all that said, let's get back to the topic. So, before I get into it, one thing, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Please bang the update notification bell and click all. I've got people telling me that they get declicked, they get delisted for their subscription. So check, make sure your subscription is still good. Check, make sure it's still clicked for all, because YouTube sometimes likes to unsubscribe or downgrade people's subscription to channels, especially if they're not pop culture useless channels putting stuff out that you don't really need to know. If it's something you really need to know, they don't seem to care a lot about it, do they? Well, I don't know, I'm being cruel. It's because they love us so much. So all that said, it's a great platform. YouTube lets us reach out to a lot of people. It is a great platform. So all that said, oh yeah, also check my links below because I do sell worms. And well, the time's coming upon us, my friends. If you're not prepping, you're already too late. You better order supplies while we still have shipping before quarantine gets set in. My Patriot Supply. Order your seeds. Order them now from True Leaf Market, heirloom seeds. You may have to grow stuff indoors. That's all the more reason, because we may have some quarantines coming upon us soon, my friends. I don't know, but it's a likelihood. So get ready. All right, let's talk about the young adults. You know, I can understand. I can definitely understand why young adults would be disenfranchised these days. I can understand why they would be aimless in this world today. I can understand why they don't have the fire in their hearts. The fire, the desire to aspire and go places in life. Because look at what we've been telling these kids. Well, for one, we haven't given them the tough love they require to grow up properly, to harden them off. You know, I've talked about growing plants in the greenhouses, and you can see there's some greens in there. Well, if you take those and set them outside, they'll die automatically because they've not been in the wind and rain. Look, you can probably see a red bell pepper through the window there, right? So, I don't know if you can see that red, but there's, oh, that's a cup, soul cup. There is a red pepper in there somewhere, though. So, my friends, you can't take plants straight from the greenhouse and put them out here. You have to harden them off. You got to gradually introduce them. In the same way with the kids in our world, we didn't give them the tough love they needed to make it in today's society. We thought it was too tough, but we were wrong. We were actually missing doing it. I got a video on tough love. So, but more than that, it's what our society tells the young people. It's the message we put out today that often discourages them, that often takes the fire out of their soul. For one, we don't give them any sense of morality, any sense of what they need to do or don't need to do. We don't give them any sense of a greater purpose. We take all that away from the schools and out of the messages these days. We don't give them a sense for why they're here. And they're just taught that they're just biological machines that go through life and consume, that they're entitled to everything because they exist, that competition's of no value and shouldn't be engaged in. We all get group participation awards, and that they're all entitled. Well, my friends, young adults, I hate to tell you this, but what you're entitled to in life is equivalent to what's in my hat. Nothing. You're not even entitled to the air in your lungs. So you got to get out and earn it. That's a little bit of my tough love message. But okay, that's not an inspirational message. Why should you want to aspire? And why do it in a world like today? Okay, so you get all these messages. Well, the world has got all these problems. Everything we do is wrong, is what you're told. Everything we do, breathing is wrong. My friends, I'm going to tell you something. If you're providing for your family, if you're out earning a living, if you're out trying to make a better society, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. And global warming is overblown. Actually, we may be coming into a period of global cooling. We may be coming into a period of a grand solar minimum. So what happens on the other side of that? We can talk more about that in the future. But I'm going to tell you something. Many of you have kids. Many of you lost wayward young adults are drug addicts these days because you didn't have any hope in society. The only thing you had to live for was the moment. And many of you who are drug addicts or just otherwise disenfranchised from our society have kids. And first and foremost, that is what to live for. It's those kids. You know, that is the most important thing in the world, is your children, your descendants. Even the kids of your brothers and sisters, I'm sure you love them. You need to think about them and think about their future and think about how if you're not contributing to society, our culture, our society can literally unravel, and that is not a good thing. So you have plenty to live for if you've got kids. That is what makes it worthwhile. Please focus on that kid. Think about that kid. Think about their future. Think about truly giving them a better future. You don't have to cop out. You need to do it for them. Wake yourself up. Come back. See, this whole thing that we don't have hope. You're taught, well, there'll be no jobs in the future. There'll be no jobs. Robots are going to replace everything. Foreign workers are going to replace them. The only reason we have foreign workers here in the United States, to the degree we have, one, is opportunity here. But two, we're bringing them in because a lot of you just flat don't want to work. You're not reliable. When you do show up for work, you often don't want to work, or you're often having an attitude. You're sullying. You try to slack off. You try to beat the system. Well, look, the people that are providing jobs often have tight margins. They need you to help them to be able to make a profit. If they can't make a profit, they can't be in business, and business margins are tight. It's tough. Take it from me. I hire people. I hire Americans, and it is really tough. It's not easy because you have to put up with a lot. And it often causes me to lose money just hiring Americans. A lot of people just flat won't do it for those reasons. That's why we have all these foreigners here. But it didn't always be that way. It didn't always be like that, let me put it that way. When I was a kid, we competed to see who could work the hardest. I've caught young people competing to see who could slough off the most. I actually caught them doing it. Blew my mind. So let me tell you something. There are jobs. There can be careers. There can be opportunities for you, especially if you get in the trades. Now, there's a lot of people that will hire people into the trades and give them the on-the-job training they require. Some trades are a little more difficult. You have to go to some tech schools for a few months. But for a few months in the tech school, you come out as a machinist. You might come out as a welder. You might come out as an electrician, bricklayer, or a carpenter. And some of them bricklayers and carpenters, you might get some of that training, or plumbers on the job. But let me tell you what. You can find plenty of places out there that will actually help you pay for your education to get into that. Or maybe somebody in the family will loan you a few dollars just to get you through it. Because if you can get in that and stick with it. And if you can show up on work and be regular, you'll have a career, you'll have a job, and you'll make good money. You'll be better off than the kids going to college these days. And if you got a college degree and ain't going anywhere, that's another reason you might be disaffected today. I got a college degree, I spent $100,000 going to college and nobody wants to hire me. Well, you got a zillion business administration degrees, you got a zillion liberal arts degrees, and there's no jobs for those kind of degrees. Or maybe you majored in something else, history, that don't have much of a job opportunity unless you go in the military. So, you're just going to say, Greg, what do? Do something honest. Go out and get a job. Work with your hands. Be willing to get your hands dirty. You're not too good to get your hands dirty because, like I said, you're entitled to what's in my hat, which is nothing. You got to go out and earn it. You got to go out and get it. But you can. It's there. It's available. You can have hope. You can have a career. You can have a future. You absolutely can. And I don't care how many robots we put in the future, they're not going to go out and go in a place like this greenhouse and rip up wire and plumbing and put in new stuff for a house or a building. They can't do that. I'm going to tell you something. The artificial intelligence will never be to that level in our lifetimes. I don't care how good it is. It's not that good. I'm a programmer. I've done software programming in my life. I worked years in that area. And I know a little bit about AI. I worked space station robotic systems. I know about robots. I know about artificial intelligence. And I think I call it artificial stupidity. It's not that good. It's going to take a while, in spite of all the advances, how many lines of code you can run, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. They'll never be sentient because it's all based on arithmetic logic. You know, all it can do is add high and low voltages. And call it adding ones and zeros. It's not even that. They can't even subtract. They can't even multiply. Well, the subtraction is adding a negative. And multiplication is adding many times. So all that's a smokescreen. It can look sophisticated with algorithms. It can look intelligent, but it's not. There's no soul. There's no sentience. It's true there. It might look like it. It might parade like it. It might masquerade like it, but it's not real. So don't get scared of robots. Be scared of the controllers of them. I've done videos on the Hive, staying out of the Hive, and free-range people. And I always tell you to thrive, stay out. I always tell you to survive, thrive, and stay out of the Hive. And that's what we can do. So, okay, let me get back into it. There is hope. You can have careers. The environment don't have to crash. Okay, so there's a lot of things coming at our world today. Now, that's true. We have this so-called virus, which I don't even want to name right now because of YouTube don't like videos that talk about such things. So I'll devote special videos to that. There is, potential for world war. There is potential for, that's been out there all my life. There's potential for all kind of mayhem. But there's also potential for hope. We stand on the precipice of developing space, of having true space, fair civilization, people living permanently off the surface of the earth, and new worlds that we'll make. There's a lot of things that we can do and things that we can get to if we can just keep ourselves glued together. And if it does hit the fan, I, in my channel here, am emphasizing the formation of communities to be able to survive through it, so that we can shake the dust off on the other side, stand up tall, and make a new, better world than what we emerged from. That's the dream. That's what we can do. We can make a new, better world, or we can make this world newer and better. So let's strive to do that, and you can be part of that. That is a purpose. That is something to live for, to make this world better, to make this world a better place. We can. And should we fail and it hit the fan, then we should, like I say, shake the dust off, stand up on the other side, and start a newer, better world. You can be a key part of that. Your participation does matter. And if you did get group achievement awards, everybody participated awards, which are meaningless. Competition is good. There's always something that you can excel at if you apply yourself to it. Sometimes you have to work your tuchus off. You have to work at it. You need that tough love to give you the foundation to go for it. But you can achieve. You can make things happen. I don't care how bad off you are. I don't care if you've been in jail a zillion times. If you're a drug addict, drug addiction is tough. You may never tell, you'll always be an addict once you've been an addict, but you can control it. You can try to minimize it. You can work toward getting away from it and trying to live a life. And that's what I want to ask you to try. Try to live, try to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. because it's worth it. Now, what can you do? You don't have to work in a trade. You don't have to work in a factory. Maybe that's not for you. You can garden, a market garden. Look at this, my friends. There are people that make livings off market gardens. I've done an interview with their Dervaes family. On the 1/10 of an acre in their backyard, they grow enough food to feed a family. It was 4 adults, now 3, and they make a living from a 1/10 of an acre out of their backyard. You don't need a lot of land. But Greg, I don't have any land. I live in an apartment. Okay, there's a guy named Larry Hounce in Maryland who grows microgreens in one of his bedrooms, and he makes $100,000 in sales a year selling just within one zip code. But Greg, I don't have a spare bedroom. All right, look at my channel. I show you how to raise microgreens in your living room. On just 3 racks, you can make $800 a week. Or if you got a little backyard area, I've shown you how you can have the equivalent of a steer a year, and with a total of 4 or 5 4 by 8 foot worm beds. So worm beds, market gardens, microgreens. There are many things you can do. There are many things you can grow. There are many ways that you can make a living, get a trade, and you can have a positive feeling that you're doing something positive for this world, that you're working to make it a better world. And you're providing an example for your kids of how to make it, giving them some inspiration and education. And a lot of it is practical, it's hands-on. That is, look, I am an engineer. I work in my day job at NASA, but you'll see me out here shoveling horse crap, worm crap. I'm not too good. If I'm not too good to do that, you're not either. So don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. It's a good, honest thing to do. Nothing is beneath you if it's good, honest work. Trust me. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing at all. In fact, I really look down on those that think they're too good to get their hands dirty. I actually look down on them with pity and shame. I scorn the people who think they're so good they can't get their hands dirty. I don't care if you've got a PhD or what. If you look at my Galactic Greg's channel, you will see that I have spent some time in my life as president of Huntsville, Alabama L5 Society. I started when I was 23 years old. Back then I was about 20 years the youngest member. Half the members of that society have PhDs. But I'm going to tell you, they're not better than anybody else. They just happen to specialize in one area of knowledge. And I try to do that within my aerospace spectrum of my profession. But I also am a generalist, because you see me out here growing gardens. You see me growing microgreens. You see me raising worms. You see me talking about a whole broad spectrum of topics. The world, what's happening in the world. Greg, how do you do all that? Well, I don't watch sports, for one. I don't watch mindless television. I engage in things that matter, what's really going on in our world, not entertainment that has no value. So, hey, sports are okay if it teaches you competition, something you should know. If it gives you hand and eye coordination. But to sit here and just watch other teams play, blah, 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 endlessly, I'm not into that. If you're into that, fine. But don't let it stop you from doing productive things in life, okay? Don't let it keep you from doing things that are important. Hey, every once in a while I like to watch a game, but not that often, not that often. Yeah, if say Alabama's playing for the national champion, yeah, I'll probably watch that game. Sometimes I watch Alabama play Auburn. Super Bowl, I don't really care for it. I don't even care for the NFL. I think the NFL is unpatriotic. So I don't give a rat about them. And I boycott them. I used to watch them. I boycott them. I don't care nothing about them. So let me tell you something. There is a future. What kind of future you make it, what kind of future you have is up to you. A lot of things may go on around you. The world may fall apart. That don't mean that you can't get through it. That don't mean that you can't survive and thrive and stand up on the other side alive and staying out of the hive. You can do that. You can have hope. Again, do it for your kids. Do it for your loved ones. Do it for even your nieces and nephews. Give them an example. I've got a friend, she don't have any kids of her own, but she really loves her nieces and nephews. She takes care of them. She nurtures them. And I know she'd do it for them, but she does. She's engaged, she works, she cares, and she really loves her nieces and nephews. She loves them like they were her own. And I know you can do that. I know that you may have kids in the future yourself. Get yourself ready. Be prepared. Give them a good example. Get past these things that take you down. If there are people in your life that are negative, get away from them. Get away from the negative influences. Get away from the people that pull you down. If they don't build you up, you don't need them in your life. They're not doing you any good. Oh, great, they've been my friends forever. Well, what kind of friends are they if they're sinking your boat, my friend? Okay. I'll probably touch on this from a different angle in the not too distant future because I didn't really start it the way I wanted to. There's just so much to say in this area. I've got a guy who used to work for me here who is an addict. He has a kid, and he actually kind of inspired me to think about this. And he's actually offered himself for an interview. I may interview him in a future video because I think he's got a lot to say to you. A lot to say to you. Because he's trying to get his life straightened up. He's trying to live for his daughter. And he's discovered that life is worth being alive for the sake of his daughter. He's found value in that. So that kind of inspired me to do this video. And this kind of fits with the overall, our nation's disintegration, and within the topic of tough love. This is the next step. This is one of my lessons in living videos, and I'll probably do a number of these. So I went a bit long on this one. I will touch on this, like I said, in the future. I'll take it from a different angle, and I will maybe do an interview or two. Oh, by the way, I also do have a couple of people that work for me that are homeless. I've hired a couple of homeless people. I'm not a homeless operation. I took in people who are highly well vetted because I can't have addicts working in my place, honestly, because you got to worry about getting, them relapsing and stealing stuff, things like that. And I can't live with that. My margins are just too tight to have to put up with that kind of stuff. But I do have a couple of homeless people that are actually living here. One of them stays in his greenhouse, the other stays in my house. But he stays in the greenhouse because he chooses to. He's been offered to stay in the house. He likes it out here. But he does come in the house a lot. He's welcome. So don't think, Greg, putting people in the greenhouse. No. That's what he chooses. So, all right. That said, we now know there can be a future. There are things you can do. There are hope. All this stuff that they teach you, that everything you do is wrong. It is right to prepare. It is right to provide for your family. It is right to lead by example. And it is right to exercise tough love with your kids. They will love you better for and respect you more for it. They won't respect you if you don't do that. All that said, I wish everybody a great day. Thank you for watching.